What's going on, everybody? My name is Tim Ruswick, and today we're talking about the 5 concepts that you need to understand for indie game marketing. Now, these are general marketing concepts. The reason that I'm talking specifically about them today is because for whatever reason, indies don't necessarily seem to know these. Most indie game developers are not sophisticated marketing people, which I don't blame them. We all want to make video games. We don't really want to fuck around with marketing. But hey, so I thought I would share 5 common terms that I think are important to know, but they're also important concepts to understand. That's what we're going to go through today. So the first concept is key performance indicators, or KPIs for short. KPIs are basically the numbers that you want to track to know whether or not you're moving forward. And they're important because if you don't know what you're focusing on and how you're actually determining whether or not your marketing is effective, you're not going to be good at marketing. If you can't track what you're doing and know definitively without a doubt by using a number to show that you're moving forward, you're not really moving forward. So a common mistake a lot of people make is they think their KPIs are Facebook followers or Twitter followers or Facebook likes on a page or Instagram followers or whatever, all these numbers that really don't mean anything. These numbers are just vanity metrics. In fact, with algorithm changes like Facebook has made or Twitter is starting to make or Instagram just made last year, there are algorithms at play that determine who sees your content. So people following you doesn't necessarily even mean they're going to see your content. Those aren't KPIs, or at least they shouldn't be for your business. Your KPIs should be things like sales or email subscribers, or growth metrics, percentage of growth month over month or year over year. Those are the important terms that you want to focus on because those are the terms at the end of the day move the needle for your business. You can't build a successful business on a lot of Twitter followers. You can build a successful business on a lot of sales. So whatever it is you're focusing on, whatever KPI you think is important, make sure it's actually important and it's actually something that you should focus on. Concept number 2 is the customer discovery process. The customer discovery process is exactly what it sounds. It's the process that your customer goes through to discover you. And it's important because whether or not you design this, there's a process out there. And if you're not in charge of it, they are. Most people never actually think all the way through their customer discovery process, and they don't understand how people find them. They think that if they put a game on Steam or they put a game up on Xbox, that magically people are gonna come find the game and they're gonna make sales that way. And while yes, sometimes platform holders do send you sales, that is not something you should rely on for the success of your game. So if you take the approach and you actually plan out your customer discovery process, if you say, hey, what happens if someone Googles my game? And does your website show up? Is it the right one? Does your website show how they can get the beta or how they can download the game? What happens if someone searches your genre on Steam? Where are you at? How far down are you? Are there ways that you can improve your title or your keywords to get higher up in that? What are some common misspellings of your game? Is your game easy to understand? Are people looking for it? How are they looking for it? What platforms are they using to look for it? All these are really important questions that you should be asking yourself, and you should really understand how customers are finding your game, because if you can't find your game as a customer would, they can't. And if you think they're just going to type in your website or go straight to Steam and type in the game you're looking for, you're wrong. How are they going to discover the game, not just find the game? That's the question. Concept number 3 is the funnel. Funnel is a little bit complex. Let me just paint a visual picture for you. Imagine an upside down pyramid. And at the top is everybody that ever hears about your game. And at the bottom is everybody that ends up actually buying from you and becoming a customer. And there are all kinds of steps in between where not everybody actually passes through the next step. This is important because marketing is a numbers game. There's no magical thing that you can do to get everybody that hears about your game to buy it. The more people you get to hear about it, the more people end up buying it. And that process in between is what's called the funnel. And if you design your funnel right, you can create a very high conversion rate between people that hear about you and people that actually buy. Most people don't think about funnels at all. They don't think about numbers. They don't think about how 100,000 people might translate into 10,000 sales. They don't think about the actual numbers. Once you design a process from the beginning to the end, designed specifically to get somebody that hears about your game all the way to a sale, that's when you've got a funnel going. And there are a lot of different technical ways to do this. We won't go into that here, but just know that this is extremely important. And if you really want to start a games business and you really want to get serious about your marketing, you have to understand the funnel. Concept number 4 is the cost of customer acquisition. This is probably a term that applies to the funnel. It's also part of your customer discovery process if you're doing paid outreach, but it's essentially exactly what it sounds like. It is the amount of money that it takes to acquire a customer. And this applies more directly in advertising more than anything else. And it's important because a lot of people like to throw money at ads and hope for the best that their ads work and that they get downloads and sales. That's just not how it works. In reality, there's an average number of people that convert from ads to sales. You can find your cost of customer acquisition by dividing the amount that you spend by the number of customers that you get. So if I spend $100 on Facebook ads and I get 3 customers, my cost of customer acquisition is $33. And as you can see, if I don't make $33 back in a sale, that is not profitable for me, and I should stop doing that immediately. Now, this can get more complex if you have different steps in your funnel, or you have multiple games, or you're selling other things like merchandise and stuff like that. So it's all stuff you have to track, but this is just the basic form of it. Most people never actually think about what it costs to acquire a customer, and just thinking in terms of if I'm paying X amount of dollars, I should get X amount of customers, and actually doing the math on that and actually calculating that can put you way above the rest of the people. And it can teach you a valuable lesson about advertising and how you shouldn't spend more money than you're making. And finally, concept number 5 is customer lifetime value. Customer lifetime value, or CLV for short, is the amount of value, or in this case money, that a customer can bring to you over the lifetime that they're in your ecosystem. A lot of people don't think this far, and they think that, hey, if I get one sale from one person, that's awesome. But what they don't realize is that that person is more likely to buy more games from them in the future, and by acquiring one customer up front for one game, you might be acquiring a customer for multiple games. And so the customer lifetime value of that particular customer, if they buy multiple games, goes beyond just that game. Now, this is a really hard number to figure out without actually having multiple games and multiple products to sell, but it's important to think about because most indies don't actually think beyond their current project. And I don't blame them. Sometimes projects can take years and it's hard to think beyond a current project. But when you're in a business, you have to. You can't run an art business on a single product. That's not how this works. And it's extremely important to future-proof the way that you acquire customers. So to recap, the 5 concepts we talked about are key performance indicators, or KPIs for short. Those are the important metrics in your business that you want to actually keep track of and make sure that you're keeping track of the right ones so that you can move your business forward. We talked about the customer discovery process, or the actual process that someone goes through to find you. How easy is it to find you, and what can you do to improve the easeability of actually someone finding your game? Number 3, we talked about the funnel, or the actual number-based steps that customers go through between hearing about your game and becoming a customer, and designing the funnel specifically that people move through it with ease. 4, we talk about cost of customer acquisition, or the actual cost that it takes to acquire a customer, specifically with advertising. You want to pay attention to this because if you're spending more than you're making, you don't want to keep advertising. And number 5, we talked about the customer lifetime value, or actually the dollar amount that a customer can bring into you over their lifetime, not just a single game. So those are the 5 concepts that I think every indie game developer should know, and every marketer especially. But if you're doing your own marketing, I know how complicated this can get. And so if you pay attention to these 5 things and you really think about how they interact and how you can use them to your advantage to sell more games, I think you'll be well equipped to move forward and market your game. Marketing is never easy. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. You're going to have to work towards it. It's going to be hard for sure, but these 5 things hopefully will help you get there. If you like this video, consider giving me a thumbs up down below and hit the subscribe button if you want more content like this. We cover everything game development, marketing, self-improvement, and psychology based on this channel, so I highly recommend you do it if you want to hear more from me. But until next time, I'll see you again soon.